Welcome to episode 30 of the TYCAST podcast. It is great to be here with you. Happy Thursday. As usual, how's everyone doing? How are you guys doing? You guys I can't, no one can see you yet, but I want to know. We're on Twitch live Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. If we also have the VOD on YouTube, and then the audio versions on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. I got an email that Spotify is going to roll out video podcasts for the distribution of this, but it's like you have to apply to it. So I applied. So we might be getting the video versions on Spotify soon. That would be nice. And what else? Let's say hi. Let's say hi to everyone. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Hi. Russ at Cryo Weasel. That's never gonna be normal ever.
No, it's not.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. I'm doing excellent. It's good to be here. I feel like we only took 1 week off like 2 weeks ago, but it feels like it's been a while. I feel like this week was so long. But it's good to be here. Max at Monado Max, you're not usually up there. Usually you're like over there, and so
I'm moving up in the world. Let's
go. you're moving up in the alphabet.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Well, other than spilling my Frosty all over the floor, I'm doing okay.
I blame you for us being like 2 minutes late. Just full disclosure.
Listen, I actually blame you because you brought that curse onto me.
Oh,
Did you spill anything?
I haven't spilled anything, but now I'm going to.
You brought the curse to me, so now it's happening to me. So,
like the shirt, dude.
Thanks.
Nick, official no friendo. How's it going? Good to have you back, man. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Thank you for having me back.
Of
I appreciate
course.
it.
Whenever you want. I like the hat. We're all Zelda repping tonight, except for me. I like it. I like the black on black. My other hat is black on black. It's like my jam. Brittany at Skriller Wolf, how you been?
Other than work, I've been fantastic.
Yeah, we were talking in the Discord. Like we've been just all complaining about work in the Discord.
I got way too many pickups this week.
Oh, that's good. Oh yeah, I know what you're gonna talk about. That's awesome. Sorry about work though. It'll come around.
I hope so.
We
have.
Yeah, exactly. Chris at Toaster Dog, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great. Sorry, my eyes are like super burning right now, so sorry if I'm blinking a lot.
You
not
good?
My fault. It probably is, but yeah, I must just be tired or something.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's at least you're not in the car this week.
I am not in the car. I've graduated to a house.
Thanks again for making that for pulling that off last week.
Cameo last week was awesome.
The what?
The Matt Damio, is that his name?
Oh,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon
cameo.
What was I getting into? So just a few updates for the podcast. Next week is our video game book club episode. So at the end of the episode tonight, we will reveal we have 13 nominations, actually 14 nominations, but one game got nominated twice. So we had 14 nominations, 13 games that will be we will spin the wheel next week. But at the end of this episode, we will reveal everyone's nominations. But next week, this month's video game book club is Little Nightmares. And next week's episode, we will be talking about that. Max, I don't like your face.
I haven't played the game yet.
Dude, I didn't play it until like 3 days ago, and I beat it in a single stream. So
wait, is it that short?
It's short.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah, 3. I beat it in under 3 hours with just like a little tiny help from Russ.
Next weekend is also Halloween, right?
Yes. That's right. Yeah, the episode's on October 28th. Also, I'm dressing up, and so you can either do a filter or actually like dress up if you want. But it's the Halloween episode. That's why we did the Little Nightmares. We did all spooky games for last month's book club. So if you want, you don't have to, but you will be laughed at and pointed at.
What are you dressing up as?
I am going to be Zagreus from Hades.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't. It was Sally's idea, and so I went with it. And then what else do we have? If you have a comment or question for the panel, go to tynology.com/comment, or you can do !comment, and we'll read them at the end of the episode if we have time. Skrill, you left a comment last week, and so we'll get to that one too because I accidentally ended the episode before looking at them. Do you remember what you said?
No.
I remember you. We'll get to it. But I remember what it is. And then what else? I feel like there was something else I was supposed to say.
Stupid
Whatever.
Frosty Cup is still leaking stuff. I hate this.
Max, don't bring Frosties to the
Sorry,
TYCAST.
sorry,
That's
sorry,
rule
sorry.
number 17. Don't
This is a
bring Frosties.
TYCAST, Frosty free zone.
We don't like blizzards here. Sorry.
Yeah, blizzards only because they don't spill. All right, let's get into our gaming pickups and what we've been playing. So, Russ, I'm starting with you. What? Actually, yeah. What did you pick up? What have you been playing?
So I didn't pick up any games this week, but I did pick up a Stream Deck and a new capture card.
Ooh, a Stream Deck.
My capture card was not doing good. If I just tapped the USB port, it would just completely freeze everything. So now I have an Elgato capture card and the Stream Deck, and I absolutely love the Stream Deck. It is so convenient. Just have the buttons right here to be able to change scenes and play and stop music.
Yes, I've been expanding mine a little bit, and so now with the podcast, I hit one button and it does the intro, and then waits, and then switches scenes, and then changes inputs and stuff. So I having all the little timed automations is really cool that I didn't even realize it could do. So you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun with it. But it's a monster though. What all it can do.
I've been looking up videos and stuff, and I'm amazed at some of the things it can do.
Yeah,
I only have basic stuff so far. I haven't really dived into it yet.
For sure. What have you been playing?
So I played and beat Little Nightmares Monday, I think. That was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that more next week.
This week, yeah.
Because of the Animal Crossing Direct, I started playing that again. I've been having a lot of fun with that, going back to Animal Crossing. I haven't played it in almost a year. I think the last time I played it was November of 2020.
Yeah.
I'm playing Far Cry 6.
I watched you play that.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I'm playing the Game of the Year edition of Borderlands, which I don't care for that much. It's definitely my least favorite Borderlands game.
Yeah.
And I started Warframe again this week.
I saw you playing that in Discord. What is that? I get Warframe, and there's another game that has almost a identical
Warzone?
name. Not Warzone, because I know
yeah.
Warzone, but isn't there something else, Frame or something? I don't know. It doesn't matter. What is
Fatal
Warframe?
Frame?
Warframe is it's a free-to-play Borderlands, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what game you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's been a lot of fun.
You've been all over the place. You've been streaming a lot.
I know.
And I saw too.
Mhm.
Got some new overlays and stuff. Nice.
Yep, trying to be more consistent with it.
For sure. I've been trying to catch your streams. Max, what'd you pick up? What are you playing?
So I'm a hypocrite.
The swole lad.
Knew it.
I'm 2021's weird, okay? I was like, Sora's not going to be in Smash. It's never going to be in Smash. And guess what happens? Sora gets in Smash. I'm not picking up a Switch OLED. 2 weeks later, look what happens. I feel like this is a weird reality. I feel like it should have been one of you guys. I know Nofrendo, you got one. But I feel like it should have been Ty. It's like, yeah, I got the Switch OLED. Because I was the only one that was like, I don't really need the Switch OLED. I'm good.
I'm bitter. I'm protesting the Switch OLED.
So I bought this because with my first paycheck, I wanted a big item to go towards. I want to spend something a big item for my first paycheck, something I'll remember always. And I decided, since I was able to find one, which I was surprised that I just walked in a GameStop and wow, the OLED right there. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to let my paycheck go towards this. That way it's Nintendo. I like Nintendo. it just makes sense for my first paycheck to be a Nintendo item. So I got the OLED. It's on my gaming pickups because I spent a lot of money on this. Wow, it's expensive.
Capitalism. Go ahead.
Yay!
Like games that I played this week. Let's see my list. For some reason on the OLED, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play Samurai Jack: Battle Through Time. I don't know why I was like, that's a game that I should play on my OLED, but I did it.
Cool.
And actually, that OLED screen is a gift from God. I'm just saying.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it really is.
Everyone swears by it.
It's sick.
It is beautiful, and Samurai Jack, in my opinion, is a game that didn't look too great on the Switch, but on the OLED, I'm like, holy crap! It really makes me want to play Witcher 3 again on the Switch to see how that's gonna look, because I thought Witcher 3 looked fine, but it's probably gonna look really, really good on the OLED. And then I've been playing Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. I'm really liking that. And then Back for Blood.
How's
I'm
it?
actually having a lot.
Say, how's the voice acting on Nickelodeon All Star Brawl?
It's non-existent.
Yeah, that's a bummer. As soon as I heard that, I was like, no.
The weird thing is, I'm thinking they might add it because the developer said that they're going to look into adding voice acting after seeing people's response to it.
Yeah,
because the game feels so empty. Like it's just an announcer that's like SpongeBob, Danny Phantom, and that's all the voice acting you get.
Yeah,
like
it seemed like
If they voice act it, I'll go buy it.
Yeah, it seems like the budget was pretty.
Stuff or no?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Are there like grunts, sound effects type?
No,
things?
There's nothing.
There's punches. That's it. It's just like, psh, but there's no like
Weird.
impact or makes any sort of noise. So it's weird. It's like
The
when you
game-
play with toys as a kid.
The game has a lot of potential, though. I think as long as they continue updating it, I think it could be something really special. I'm just wondering how much Nickelodeon's going to put into it. Although it seems like the game is like selling very well because it's number 2 on the eShop right now, which is kind of crazy that it's being so many Switch games right now.
Maybe they'll put some money into it.
I've also, a majority of my time has been to Metroid Dread. I'm trying to beat that, but it's been difficult to play that with my work. I've only put about, I think, 5 hours into it, so I think I'm almost done with the game. So I'm hoping to beat that by next week, and I think that's all my games that I played. Oh, Back for Blood. I'm liking Back for Blood. I know there's a mixed opinion on that game. I think people are looking at it too much as, Left 4 Dead. It's trying to be its own unique thing, just being heavily inspired by Left 4 Dead and being the developers and all of that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good game. It's a good replacement for something that we're never going to get a sequel of. Or not really a replacement, but you know what I mean. It's a good game. It's just you got to go in there not thinking it's Left 4 Dead 3. That's really all you got to look at that game.
For sure. I have some things to say about that.
The voice acting in that game, though, kind of weird. Not gonna lie, it's just
I don't like the friendly fire voice, shit like chatter that they do. I don't know, for some reason, like I feel like it's a little overkill. But also, I played through the whole beta and it was really easy. And then I got the game and I beat one little zone and I died like 10 times. And I don't know. I feel like it ramped up the difficulty. That's all I had to say about it. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep playing it, but because I like games like that. But I really enjoyed the beta because it didn't make my like brow sweat so intensely. But yeah. No friendo, Nick. What have you been up to lately? Do you have any good recent pickups or anything?
Yeah, I also picked up the Switch OLED.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I've been on, so I thought I'd share a few pickups.
Sure, go for it.
I'm always on the game hunt for sure, especially with retro stuff. But obviously playing Metroid Dread, playing a lot of that. Almost done with it. I think I've got about a couple more hours left.
Nice.
In it. I'm about 6 hours in, something like that. Cruise and Blast for the Nintendo Switch is actually really fun.
I want to play that
title. Yeah, it's really fun. Beat that all the way through. It was pretty simple. I got all the trophies and stuff for that. But on the retro side, this is really cool. My wife likes to go out and go thrift store shopping, when I'm at work. And so every once in a while, hey, look at the games, look at the games. Well, she has just been killing it lately. I mean, just
I've been
absolutely
seeing
killing
your
it. So she
posts.
found-
Yeah.
Yeah, she got Super Mario Brothers 3 for $8 the other
Wow.
day. Monopoly for the Game Boy, which is like super minty. The cartridge looks amazing for $2. Dr. Mario on the Game Boy for $3. And then she found all these PS1 games. Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, Crash Bash, which is I've never even played this one before. It's some sort of like party, like Mario Party game.
Yeah. I remember when that came out.
Tetris Plus, all for like 99 cents, dude.
Oh, they're all
just
black label
crushing
too,
it.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also she found Final Fantasy 8 for the PlayStation 1 complete with the manuals and everything
That's
for
awesome.
99 cents, dude. I was like,
Wow.
what? And then she got 9 as well for 99 cents.
Nice.
And then another PlayStation 1 game, Putter Golf, which is kind of sucks, but whatever. I like having the complete stuff, with the manuals and whatnot. But
That is awesome.
Yeah,
those are
so-
great pickups. I saw your post about the pickups. That's amazing. I
Yeah,
can
I
never
always like
find
to
anything
share
like
'em.
that. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
we just go out a lot because we like to do that kind of thing. Just go either what's looking for something different, or just like we're like treasure hunting all the time. And
Sure.
especially when I go out, I'm looking for games and stuff for add to my collection. But it saves a lot of money instead of having to pay for retail price or someone selling them on eBay. So
Yeah.
but yeah, playing a lot Metroid Dread lately, and the OLED to me is a completely different Nintendo Switch, in my opinion. It's not the power or anything like that, but just the overall build quality of it.
Yeah.
And the screen, it does feel like a more premium Nintendo Switch. It really does. Just the body of it feels more premium. So
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. Definitely my go-to Switch from here on out for sure.
Nice.
My other one's sitting in a box now, which is kind of sad, but I'm
Until
not gonna sell it because it's the Mario Red one.
Oh,
So.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be your go-to Switch until the new model with the new
Right,
chip
until the next one
next
comes out,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. I don't know.
Yeah,
Nate
we'll
the Hate was
see.
saying that on one of his podcasts.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I still stand by. I think that the OLED was supposed to have a new chip in it, and they pivoted.
I do too.
But it makes sense.
It does, and it, like I said, it feels like a premium
Yeah,
Nintendo
exactly.
Switch. So I think they just fell short of the components and the chips, and just
Yeah.
they could still put it out there with
Exactly.
the Tegra X1 in
It's,
it.
it's selling.
and
It's
still
selling
make
well enough.
good
Yeah.
money.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think what they want to do is put it at $400 with a just a more modern chip, and everything else
Right.
be identical. And they swapped that at the last second.
Yeah.
At some point, but
Switch
I
Pro
don't know.
doesn't exist, guys. It doesn't exist.
well, we got doggos in the on the
That's a
on
cool
the cast.
You just said doggos. My
I
girls
did
always
figure
say
out-
doggos.
She doesn't usually come down here. She's usually sleeping by now.
Just wanted to be on the cast.
Yeah.
I can't believe Toaster got a real life Nintendo.
Nintendo.
My
Brittany,
dog
Brittany, screw
What's her
is
name?
living the dog's life.
the dog's life.
Yes.
Nice.
Whoa, was that the main character from the hit series Dog's Life?
Screw, what'd you pick up?
Okay, so I'm gonna go a little fast because I got a lot, but
Go.
Beach Pizza sold me a copy of Dead or Alive 5 on Vita and Virtua Tennis on Vita. This is interesting because how often do you see a Vita manual?
Ooh.
Yep, those are nice.
It's like 3 pages, but
It exists.
still. The other thing is I bought a huge Switch lot. I'm not going to show off all the games because most of it's not super interesting, but the most interesting thing about it was it came with the gold Pokemon Steelbook, and then it holds 2 game carts. I don't remember where you had to buy this. I want to say it was Best Buy, but we missed out on it. Jeremy really likes Pokemon, so we're keeping that. This one is more so for me. Cryo will like this one.
Ooh,
Wow.
nice.
That's nice.
That's
So
sick.
that's it. I think this was a PAL or Japan exclusive. I don't remember this being released over here. The inside's also really cool.
Oh, that's
Nice.
rad.
So I'm hanging on to that out of the lot. The rest I haven't decided yet. There might be a few more games I'm holding on to. The other thing I got was for $60 I got 3 DualShock 4s.
Nice.
One of them is the Call of Duty one, which I think is pretty ugly, but I don't have it.
I like the gray at least.
I think it would look better if they weren't brave enough to make these orange too.
Yeah, Yeah, that would have looked better to even it out.
This is fun fact, I actually have two here, but this is the one I got. This is a 2.0 magma colored PlayStation. This is the 1.0 magma color. So they swapped the bottoms when they made the 2.0. And the difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0 is if you hit the button, you can see the light bar in the top
the
here.
top, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is just boring. I got the DMC Devil May Cry graphic novel. There's a reason this was only $4. It's super engaging, and I think it's almost everything. Yeah, the other thing I got some sealed standees, but since they're sealed, you won't be able to see them. But one of them is Pokemon Let's Go, and the other one is Smash Bros. But one of the things that came in Switch slot, which I didn't even know existed, was a Mario Kart like big wheel.
Yeah. I saw who was it? I saw a YouTuber that tried to
Bad
play.
Little Pixel.
Beat 'em ups.
Did he do like he tried to play like Smash on it or something?
Yeah.
Something weird like that.
He tried to play a bunch of Switch games with that controller. It was the funniest thing ever.
So I was excited because I was like, oh, if it's opened, like I'll open it up and play with it just to mess around with it before, because I don't have any need for a racing. Oh.
Is it
got
sealed?
Pedals on the back.
Oh,
it's got
yeah,
pedals.
it has pedals. Yeah.
I don't know pedals, but it's sealed, so I don't know if I'll open it just because I'm not big into racing wheels. Never really have been. But those are all of my pickups for the week.
Nice. Chris, Toast Dog. What about you?
Did Skriller say what she's been
Oh yeah,
playing?
we've been playing.
Oh, my bad. Killzone Mercenary and Alien Isolation.
Nice. You've been streaming Alien Isolation. I've been trying to catch those because I thought that game was gonna win for this month, the book club, because that was a double up pick, like two noms.
So glad that game didn't win.
Me too.
I didn't know it was so
Wanted that one
long.
to win.
It's like over 20 hours or something. Like,
So the
Never mind.
Yeah, the first half of it is great. The first half of it is pure horror, and then the second half of it is more. That's where the survival aspect comes in, because you basically get stuff that you can use to chase away the enemies versus running from them.
yeah.
So
I really wanted to Outlast to win because I wanted to see all the torture happen with all you guys for, the months of not Spider-Man Web of Shadows. My rage.
I'm glad that Little Nightmares won. Especially after the fact. Like, I really enjoyed that game, and it was creepy, but it wasn't like I didn't dread playing it. Like, so. All right, Chris, thank you for catching that before.
So I only have one pickup, and it is
Dog's Life.
Doki Literature Club Plus for Switch.
Nice.
Yeah, I got Dog's Life.
Oh, that was last week.
And yeah, I wasn't here really to show it off, but I got Prime from Cryo, and this was probably like my biggest pickup was Parasite Eve at TMG. It's missing the bonus disc, which kind of stinks, but it's all right. I can buy another copy of it, I guess. I haven't done a whole lot of gaming. I played Rocket League twice. I played River City Girls with my daughter for a little while.
Nice.
And I played and beat Little Nightmares.
Sweet. Okay, for me, because we're already half an hour in. I forgot what I didn't pick up anything like gaming related. I don't think that I can think of. I do have a new YouTube video coming out tomorrow, featuring hopefully I didn't do anything, featuring this. It's so bright.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but I don't recommend it. But it's amazing, but don't buy it.
Spoiler alert.
No, it depends. It depends on a lot of things. But I was playing Back 4 Blood, which I died a lot on. I streamed and beat Little Nightmares in one go. Thank you for hanging out with me, Russ, and helping me little parts here and there. I played Animal Crossing for the first time in like 15 or 16 months. I haven't played since before the Mario drop happened, and so I have no Mario, so I haven't even touched that game. And so me and Sally and Aaron played. We visited each other's islands, and that was the first time I opened it up. I don't even play it under my own account. I play it under my son's account, which is just because I didn't want to buy it twice. And Metroid Dread, I'm not very far in. I lost my save because my son closed my game before I had found a save point, and so I had to go back and put like half an hour back in to catch up to where I was, and then I saved, and then I haven't touched it since. That is all that I played. Okay, moving to our title prime discussion for the week. So we talk a lot about like underrated consoles. We all have like our favorite underrated consoles that we wish had more, lifespan, more attention. Like we felt like the games were they were good games that didn't get enough attention for any reason, whether it's hardware, software. It just didn't take off the way that you feel that it should have. And so I felt like this was a good topic to discuss this week leading up to the Halloween episode, the book club episode. And so we'll go backwards this time. And we'll just like tell your points, but anyone feel free to jump in when each person's talking, and we'll just have an open discussion about it. But everyone will get a chance to say what they think the most underrated console in their opinion is, and for what reasons. And I came with ammo, and it's so prepare to go down unless you agree that it's the Dreamcast. Chris, what are your thoughts?
So hopefully I'm gonna blindside everybody, and I'm gonna say the TurboGrafx 16.
Oh,
So this was the first major console that I bought with my own money. The first actual console, if you want to call it that, was the Game Boy. But I bought this and had it for about a week, and my dad still worked at Toys R Us then, and he and my mom both convinced me to return it just because there wasn't very many games for it, and I'm still kind of salty about it. But it was true, and that was one of its biggest flaws, is that there weren't a lot of games available in the US for it, and the only one I ever remember owning was the one that came bundled in it, which was Keith Courage and Alpha Zones. And despite what everybody on the internet thinks, I think it was a really cool game. I had a lot of fun with it. And actually, probably, let's see, it was at least 5 years later, we took a trip to New York to my old babysitter's house, and they actually had a TurboGrafx 16, and they had two games that I really, really love. One of them is really stupid. It's a Final Lap Twin, which is a RPG racing hybrid game, which as far as I know, there is not another one like it. It's terribly translated and super grindy, but also kind of fun. And the other one is Blazing Lasers, which is pretty much the best shoot 'em up in existence, also known as Space Megaforce on the Super Nintendo, both of which are incredibly pricey. But yeah, I wish they would have had more games. The games themselves were like super tiny, like credit card sized.
Yeah, they were like little cards, right?
Yeah, like this came out in Japan only 2 years after the NES, I believe. Oh no, it wasn't. It was a little after that.
Yeah, I don't know much about the TurboGrafx other than
Was it 89?
It came out in Japan in 87.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really popular in Japan. PC Engine was
PC
huge
Engine, yeah.
over there. Nintendo had quite the battle with them back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I know about, I want one of the what's the handheld
Turbo
one?
Mini?
The Turbo
Oh.
Mini.
Oh,
Is that what it is?
Turbo Express.
Turbo Express.
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah.
so I have this like, I haven't said it out loud because I feel like I can't say it, but I kind of want to collect every single handheld console, like every major handheld console. And then I saw that and I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna buy that, and so I'm holding off. But that thing is so cool looking, and so but that's the like that, and then Bonk's Adventure or whatever. Isn't that like
I saw one of those Turbo Expresses at a estate sale back in like 2002, and walked right by it and was like, "Oh, those are cool," and I just kept going. I'm like, I've been kicking myself in the butt ever since.
yeah.
Dollars now, they're ridiculous.
You
But
just stay
yeah,
awake late at night and you're like, God,
yeah.
could have had a Turbo Express.
You wake up at 2 a.m. Turbo Express.
Turbo Express was also in the movie Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman.
Was it?
Just-
I remember.
just
I
so you know.
liked that movie. I enjoyed that. I
That's
didn't
one
know
of
there
my
was a
favorite
Turbo
movies.
Express.
I like
in
it a
there.
lot.
I've never heard of this movie before.
I saw it in theaters.
It was released before you were born, probably, Max.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm
I
just
was
kidding.
in. I think I was in
Actually, it
middle.
might have
I
been.
think it was
don't know.
late 90s.
It was 99. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I wasn't born.
Nice.
Before
I
my
was
time.
I was just born.
All right. We can come back to the Turbo graphics, but Skrill, what about you?
Okay, so everybody can probably predict this coming. I'm gonna go with the PlayStation Vita. So let me just let's bring one of these bad boys out. So the Vita upon launch was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had with a console. I alone sold like 6 Vitas just begging my friends to get them, and they're like, why? Like, why would we get this over the 3DS? And so, because it played online games a lot better than the 3DS, like the servers and stuff were a lot better. It had the party chat function, so a lot of my friends would be playing on PS4 and I could just hop in and party chat with them, which was really cool. It had a camera, and at the time I didn't have a phone with a camera, so that was cool. The games that came out on it were absolutely like mind-blowing for the time graphically. There's nothing handheld that could run games like that at the time, so the graphics and stuff were super impressive. And with the first 2 years when Sony did support it, there was a lot of fantastic titles with Killzone and Persona and Uncharted, and tons of really, really, really fantastic JRPGs. But yeah, I just had like a really fantastic time with the console. It's a really premium feeling console. It did OLED before Nintendo made it cool.
Like what year did the Vita come out?
2011 in Japan, 2012 in
And it had an
the US.
OLED screen originally.
Had an OLED screen.
Yep.
I would turn this one on, but it's dead.
10 years.
It was really nice too. It was way
the original, and even when they slimmed it down, they made the slim model and made it cheaper and did the price drop and everything. It still felt premium. It didn't feel as premium as like the initial Vita, but I played this so much, and then they kind of just dropped service for it and everything. But it's definitely, I'm glad that it has such a cult following, because there's plenty of consoles that are really good that don't have quite as much of a cult following of it. But even you can tell that like Vita fans really cared about the console and people really enjoyed it, because even long after people stopped supporting it, like the big companies stopped supporting it, there's been so much indie studios that have put games on there and published games on there at a loss, like because there's just not enough sales to even warrant porting it. But they just love the console so much, and they love like the rabid fan base that it has, that they will still like publish games on there.
So Chris, you blame the failure of the TurboGrafx on like the lack of games in North America. Is that because I want to also like everyone to acknowledge why their underrated console didn't.
Yeah.
succeed.
So that, I think it was like super expensive too.
Oh, was it?
Like,
I don't even remember.
I think it was like $2.99 or I think $3.99 maybe even. It was pretty
okay.
expensive.
And then
I didn't pay that for it, but yeah.
And so Skrill, what? Okay, so why do you think that the Vita failed?
I think the Vita failed for, I guess there'd be 3 main reasons for me. First, the 3DS I think came out just a little bit prior to it, and because the DS was so hot, like just absolutely scalding hot, one of the best-selling consoles of all time, Sony already viewed the PSP as kind of a failure in their mind, because they're like, oh well, it didn't sell as much, even though the PSP sold like hotcakes.
Like 80 million or something.
And the games that got released were incredible on there too. You got God of War, Jack and Daxter, just tons of quality titles on there. But they were already kind of like, oh well, we didn't beat Nintendo this time. Okay, well we'll release the PS Vita. The marketing initially for the PS Vita, I think, was a little rough. I think it was kind of what Microsoft was doing, where they're like, this is more of an entertainment device than a console. And I think that's what they kind of did initially with the PS Vita. So that was rough because it had the direct competition from Nintendo and the 3DS, which was killing it. And then you had the like weird marketing. And then the big like kick in the nuts was that they just announced that they would just drop support after 2 years. So 2 years is how long they supported it first party, and then after that they completely dropped it, left it on its own. And I think they released the Vita TV, which is also, I think, another nail in the coffin, because the initial attachment, there's on the original Vita console, there's an extra attachment that nothing was ever developed for. But originally what that was supposed to be is that you could plug your Vita into the TV and play it, kind of like how you could with the PSP and the component cables.
Yeah.
So they just kind of, they kept messing with the fans and stuff. And so I think like they were just like, okay, well, this isn't selling as well as we wanted, and the PS4 is more successful. We're just going to completely like drop the Vita.
Do you think Sony will ever put out another do you think they'll ever do like either a handheld or a hybrid console?
There were rumors, and I remember reading about patents that they had filed to do kind of a PlayStation Switch. I think something like that could be a possibility for them, but I think it would have to coincide with a more powerful console. So I don't think they'd have to do like a Switch Pro type thing, because I think people have a certain expectation for Sony, especially now with all of their first party titles, that they're very graphically taxing on their consoles. And I think for longevity's sake, they couldn't have an exclusive like handheld. I don't think they'll dip their toes in the handheld market after the PS Vita, just because it lost them so much money.
Yeah, for sure. Nick.
Yeah, those.
Go ahead. No, yeah.
I was gonna say, and those proprietary memory cards were a big pain in the butt. They were so expensive. That was one reason why I didn't buy as many games as I probably would have if I, because I only had like the 4 gig. And I think I still have it somewhere, but I just didn't want to upgrade to an 8 or a 16 or a 32. It was almost half the price of the console.
So the 64 gig was actually $200 upon launch, and then the 32 gig was $100. But not only that, another proprietary thing I just want to bring up real fast. The original OLED charger sucks so bad. That thing rips constantly. They break. It's like the original Apple chargers. Like those things just bust instantly. And the OLED has the exact same problem. But they fixed it when they slimmed it down. They did the micro USB.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. The memory stick duo or whatever. Like I don't know why Sony went so hard on that. Like I know they've done it before and they've succeeded, like Blu-ray, and they failed with like what Betamax and stuff. Like it's like every other time they either hit a home run or they push it way too hard and like just destroy their reputation over it. But yeah, the memory is the thing is they should have learned with the PSP by going with the memory stick and people being mad about it. They should have gone more universal with the Vita. Like I feel like I remember having a PSP and I was like, why the hell do I have to buy a stupid memory stick duo? And I mean, I only bought an extra one because to jailbreak it, but still it was just I feel like that was a dumb choice. But I've never owned a Vita. I have a bunch of PSPs, but
I have one I can sell you.
Okay.
I've got like 4 I can sell you.
yeah.
I have 3.
I am not. My wallet is closed right now. I'm buying way too much.
I have enough Vitas for a small army.
I believe it. Nick, what's your console of ill repute?
Mine goes way back, like the late 80s era, but it's the Sega Master System. That console to me is super underrated. I don't know. There's just something about it that I think it's a better console than the NES. I really do. But the games on it are hit and miss. There's very few heavy hitters on there. And obviously Nintendo just came and wiped it out. Just there was no competition with Nintendo for that side of it, but it definitely is one of my favorites that's misunderstood because It is a more powerful console than the Sega or than the Nintendo Entertainment System. And games like Ninja Gaiden and Rastan are almost, they're excellent ports from the arcade. I don't know. I just really like that console. The controller to me also just feels more comfortable. I don't know.
You like
And
that
it had
that D-pad that was like in a square?
yeah, yeah. It was kind of mushy, but it was just more comfortable.
Yeah.
The edges on the NES were
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sharp after
Yeah,
playing
they
for
were
a
softer,
while. I
yeah.
don't know.
No, I
But
agree. I played a bunch of Master System before I got my Genesis.
yeah.
My friend had one, and it was kind of cool how Sega would release when the Genesis wasn't like blowing up yet, before they did the big switch over and changed over all their like Sega of America executives. They were putting out Genesis games also on the Master System, and just like these these demake versions, and some
Mhm.
of those games even worked pretty good. And then they ended up coming out on the Game Gear, because the Game Gear was
Yeah.
essentially the same hardware as the
It
Master
was a
System.
portable Master System,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
and so I don't know. I agree. I really enjoyed. I liked that you could turn on the Master System. There was a game in
Yeah, it was
like
built
built
in. It
into
was
it.
really
It's not.
cool.
It wasn't a packing game. It was, you turned it on. There was a game like playing.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember what game it was. It was, but
And they did 3D fairly well. It wasn't too bad, for what, the late 80s, mid 80s. It wasn't that bad. And things like that. Their light gun worked really well. It just wasn't supported, kind of like the Vita in a sense, It was in other countries, but however, my experience with it wasn't supported very well.
Well, if you
Uh,
if you look at the the documentaries, like the console war, like if you it actually
mhm.
it may have been more in the book. It may have been in the movie that they did, the documentary on it. But when in 1990 or something, when Tom Kalinske came into Sega, it was like five guys in like a janky little office. That was all of Sega of America. Like they had
Yeah.
like 1,000 square feet in like a business park in Northern California,
Mhm.
and that was it. And so it's no wonder that they didn't have the infrastructure to support a game console in the late 80s,
Yeah.
let alone like,
I
yeah.
I remember getting my Sega Master System, and it was so underwhelming. It was like the box was super plain. You're like, this doesn't look fun. And even though I enjoyed it, but when you got your NES or your Super Nintendo or your Sega Genesis, it just screamed video games right at
Yeah.
you. It was kind of like the Atari. It was super boring to look at, but it was okay for its time. But it was
Yeah.
definitely the experience of playing the games and having that excitement, like all the build up and being able to
How
enjoy the artwork and stuff. But
how about the graph paper
So
yeah,
the cover art?
I
right here.
I
There we go.
actually love the design of both the console of the Sega Master System, and how they had the really minimal like artwork for all the games that were like kind of universal. I don't know why. I just love that whole look of it.
Yeah.
I don't remember that growing up, but when I was getting back into video games and seeing all that, I was like, I feel like that was so ahead of its time. Like it felt like that would have been done like 20 years later, like as like
Hmm.
a if they like as a statement to be like, we're the like that it was almost Apple-esque in a way,
Yeah.
the way that console was designed, and games were designed. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and
I liked it.
like you said, the console design for me was really cool because not it was a top loader. You didn't have a lot of issues like the NES had,
Yeah.
the American NES anyway. Before its top loader came out, so you just put the game in and go. It'd work almost every time. There was no blowing in the cartridge and fiddling with the stupid tray, and all that stuff. And then it also had a like a Hue card slot, which I think was called Sega Game Card or something like that. But yeah, so you could support two different formats.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was cool. I thought there was a lot of potential in it. I really did when I first got mine, and then I got the NES, and it was all over from there. But
Fair,
but
yeah, yeah,
The console reminds me of like 80s stereo equipment design.
yeah,
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 It does
it's
look
pretty
like that, yeah.
futuristic looking. It's pretty cool. I like it.
yeah.
But anyway,
I'm a Master System fan. I need to. That's a console I need to buy, because I'm also trying to buy other consoles from my childhood. I never owned a Master System, but I want to. Max, what about you?
All right, so I have to go with the Nintendo Wii U. I feel like this system is going to be one of those systems in the next 5 years that people are going to be like, you know what? The Wii U actually was a great system. Not to mention the virtual console path that's in the Wii U is incredibly underrated that I feel like not enough people talk about because as of right now, you can play the Wii, Nintendo DS, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, NES, Super Nintendo, N64. Can't you play Neo Geo on there, or am I wrong?
I think there's some Neo Geo games.
Mm-hmm. I think TurboGrafx 16 is on there too.
Yeah.
TurboGrafx. There's so much there, and the first party games. We've had some of the most popular Nintendo IPs come out of the Wii U, like Splatoon. Originated from there. Amazing game.
Mario
we had
Maker.
Donkey Kong. Yeah, we had Mario Maker. We had Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which a lot of people I see. I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I see a lot of people saying that might be the best Donkey Kong game. So you got that. You got, technically Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game, and it was ported to the Switch. So the Wii U got Breath of the Wild first in a way. You have Wind Waker HD, you have Twilight Princess HD, you have Mario 3D World, which hot take is the best Mario 3D game. I know so many people are just like looking at me right now.
Burning.
You have so much with the Wii U. You have Bayonetta. You got Xenoblade Chronicles X. You got a Kirby game. Granted, it's not like a true Kirby game. It's a sequel to Rainbow.
Yeah. My kid played that for like
Curse.
30 minutes.
You got a Yoshi game. That was unexpected. A Yoshi game. I mean, this game
The software. The software on the Wii U was solid, and I think that's why we're getting so many Wii U ports to the Switch because there just wasn't the fan base that got to enjoy those quality games. And I agree. I think I feel like the Wii U hardware was a little weird. Well, the naming was horrible because no one understood what the hell the console was, and that just killed it from the start. But the hardware, I feel like it. I don't know. Does anyone use the gamepad? Like, I mean, I know you use the gamepad, but I feel like that was also almost a hindrance because people are like, "Wait, is this a mobile?" Like, and then people they already had their DS or 3DS. Like, oh, I don't need a Wii U, and I have a Wii, so why? All of it was just. I feel like they overly convoluted their whole setup.
So as a kid, I used the gamepad a lot to play the games. I kind of regret doing that as a kid because they look ugly on that gamepad. Isn't it like a 480p screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Wii U's, well, what people says the Wii U failure was what you brought up, Ty. And a lot of people bring up the launch lineup for the Wii U. I personally don't think the launch lineup was that bad for the Wii U because this is going to be a hot take. I feel like the Switch launch lineup is way worse than the Wii U because some of the games that you got on the launch day, I'm surprised that the Switch was a success, to be honest. Like, you had Breath of the Wild, but one of the big titles that Nintendo was advertising like crazy is that you got Skylanders Imaginators on day one on Nintendo Switch. Yeah. So you didn't have much on day one.
But Breath of the Wild is still carrying that console. Like, that's how massive that game was. That like that they could have launched with. I mean, you think what the N64 had Pilot Wings and Mario 64 carried that console enough to, like, I know the 64 didn't sell a ton, but the Breath of the Wild carried that launch handily. And so, but
they needed a different big game for the Wii U launch because a lot of people was under the impression that New Super Mario Bros. U was essentially the same game, which yes and no, it's the same game.
Yeah.
There's different levels. It is a different game, but I can understand why people thought it was the same game because the titling, the title of the system is stupid. But I do believe that the Wii U is going to end up being the best Nintendo console. I really feel that way because they were forced to make some of their best first party games because there was no games on the system,
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. I always try to, if I can play with the Pro Controller for the Wii U, I definitely use that instead of the gamepad because it's one of the best controllers Nintendo's ever created.
You like the weird thumbstick?
I do. It's super comfortable. It might be because
I've
I
never
have
used
huge,
one.
gigantic hands, but I mean, yeah, it's really comfortable for me. But the button response and the analog stick response just feels really nice. However, I do prefer the Switch Pro Controller over that one, but I prefer the Wii U Pro Controller over, say, like a PS4 controller. I think it's just because of the analog stick layout, personally, for me.
I can see it. I've never used a Wii U Pro Controller, but I saw it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But also, I felt the same way with the. I like the offset sticks just because that's what I'm used to back from the Dreamcast days without the right stick. But Russ, go for it.
Well, you're gonna like me, Ty, because my pick was a Dreamcast too.
Yeah!
I only got a Dreamcast recently, like 3 or 4 years ago, and I like everything about it. The controller, I think, is really comfortable. Looking at it, it looks super awkward to hold, but when you're actually holding it, it feels really good in your hands. And I don't even miss the right stick. Like,
yeah, that's
never even was
the only thing missing from this controller. It's so comfortable.
And then the whole VMU thing where you can just like pop the cartridge out and then you have a little game in your hand from the controller. And a lot of the games use the VMU in a cool way, like Sonic Adventure 2. You can like walk your chow with it.
Yeah.
And I know Space Channel 5 did something interesting with it, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head right now.
Almost every first-party game and a bunch of third-party games use the VMU in some creative way, and it was almost always different. And like, I'm gonna kind of piggyback on you too, because mine obviously is the Dreamcast. But like, I played a lot of sports teams, like NFL 2K. That was like the launch title for the Dreamcast. You could pick your plays on the VMU, which blew my mind because every other time, because you would play locally, and you'd have to traditionally what you do is if you're playing with someone 2-player, your plays were on the top and their plays were on the bottom, or vice versa, and you'd have to quickly pick so before they saw what play you picked. But you could use the VMU to pick your plays on your controller so they never saw. So that changed the whole thing. Virtua Tennis, you could actually, it replicated the tennis court and showed the ball and where your players were on the VMU, so you could actually, it was kind of pointless, but it was kind of cool to see you could technically play on the VMU. Sorry, go ahead. VMU is amazing.
I also like that you can connect the two VMUs together and like battle each other, or I think in the Chow you can trade them back and forth, and like they can go in each other's gardens on the VMU.
You could transfer save files too, and like from games.
And the VMUs look really cool. They came in like a lot of cool colors. I have like a see-through green one and a see-through blue one.
Yeah, I only have white ones, but it's a cool little.
It's like a little console itself.
Yeah.
And I also think the Dreamcast got a lot of interesting games, like Seaman. That game, it's so weird, but it's so fun to play. Like, you would not think just like talking to something would be fun. Like, if you think of like Hey You Pikachu, that game was not good and did not control well. Like, your voice was not recognized or anything. But I feel like in Seaman it actually worked.
It did work.
The Seaman is voiced by Leonard Nimoy, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's funny. I didn't
know
realize that.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's voiced by Spock. I wonder what they had to do. They were just like, hey, do you want to voice a character in a game? Oh, sure. And then they don't tell him, and then when it comes out, he's like, what is this?
I remember buying that game, and Mom was like, what is this? This is weird. And because it's a fish with a human face on it, and that you talk to through a microphone that plugged into the memory card port.
yeah, like lived in your TV. It's like a virtual aquarium.
Yeah, and it
was
used
so
it
weird.
used the clock real time, and so you'd have to check on it, like and talk to it or get mad at you. It was a weird. It was a really there is the Dreamcast was so far ahead of its time. The Dreamcast had better online with dial-up than the Nintendo Switch does currently. Honestly,
Yeah.
I played first-person shooters on my Dreamcast with a dial-up connection with less issues than I did playing Mario Maker 2 on the Switch like 20 years later. 22
Did you-
years later.
Did you have to pay for service?
No. Well, I mean, you paid for like your internet service, but there was no Dreamcast paid service.
And it was powered by some sort of Microsoft chip or something, right?
Yeah. Well, the OS was it ran on Windows CE,
Right.
which everyone says that Microsoft was testing the waters with a game console through the Dreamcast, and then just went all in on the Xbox. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as the Dreamcast launched, they started developing. Or I mean, I think they were actually in development before that, but yeah.
I know it's a trip to see Microsoft's name on the front of the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it's right there.
Weird.
Right there. It says Microsoft.
Yeah.
Oh no, it says compatible with Windows CE. I don't know what that means actually.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. But yeah, go ahead, Russ. I didn't mean to completely.
I mean, we have the same pick, so
Yeah.
it's understandable. And another game too, and I think you're playing it in the background, is Power Stone 2.
Yeah.
That game was so weird to me, but so fun. It's like such a weird fighting game. But I feel like all of the games were like quirky and different than what you'd find in other systems. And I don't know if that actually kind of led to what ultimately made this Dreamcast fail. I do know that it launched at like the same time the PS2 was announced in the US. So that was probably the biggest reason it failed.
Yeah, the PS2 and piracy.
Yeah, it's super easy to pirate on the Dreamcast.
It came out right away. You didn't even need a mod check. They didn't have any anti-piracy measures other than the disc was burned a special, like it was like created a certain way in like multiple burn sessions, and immediately there was software that could burn CDs, like CDRs to and it read CDs, and that they had the GD-ROM that was just a bigger CD. It held a gigabyte of data instead of 670 megabytes or whatever. But then originally there was a boot disk, and so you'd put in the boot disk and it would check the piracy, like to check for the like whatever code that it was looking for, and then you could just pop open the console, put in a burn disk of and whatever game you would play and push A, and they would boot up the game. And then they discovered how to actually do it all in one disk, and it was gone from there. But yeah.
I remember one of my really good friends. He always came over to my house to play video games, Super Nintendo, N64, and he was more into music and riding motocross and things like that, right? So he wasn't big into games like I've always been. And he shows up at my house one day with a Sega Dreamcast, and I'm like, "What, dude? You just bought a game console?" And I was pretty excited. I see this in magazines and whatnot, but I was always a super hardcore Nintendo kid at that point. But he walked in the front door with extra controller, and I'll never forget. And this is probably the last time I've ever played an NFL game. Was NFL 2K? I think it was a launch title with it, or it came out around the time. But dude, I don't know. Just it was super fun, and then having, like you said, the VMU where you could look at your own plays on your own screen and things of that nature. To me, it was, like you said, way far advanced for its time. The graphics were absolutely amazing for that.
It was.
And I think personally it looks better, as far as like brightness and contrast and things of that nature, like, really colorful than the got a PS2 because of like it would look so blurry and foggy all the time.
So there
were some really good games on it, but
100% the Dreamcast looks better than a PS2, especially if you're running out, because it has the digital output, or the like VGA output that can be like, you can buy native HDMI cable. It doesn't even have to convert it. Like it can, I mean it does, but it has all the hardware already built in, and also the console's tiny. It's smaller than an Xbox One S or Xbox Series S. Like it's this big.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
But it is
so
super loud.
Yeah,
You can hear
the
that
fan
across the house.
yeah, the fan gets pretty loud, especially if it needs to be cleaned to quiet it back down, especially nowadays. Um, but okay, Russ, I will let you continue, but some things. Okay, we're talking about like um, the launch titles of most of these consoles that didn't do very good was pretty weak. Listen to this launch lineup for the Dreamcast. So, Kart Flag to Flag, which was like a racing game. Hydro Thunder, which was a
good.
massive arcade
good.
game. Tokyo
Yeah.
Extreme Racer, which was like a drifting racing game. Arrow Wings, which was a weird game, but I loved it. It was a stunt airplane game with like where you turn on your smoke and you'd have to do like patterns with people and like stuff. Air Force Delta, which was basically like the Ace Combat air combat game. Trick Style, which was I think like a hoverboard game.
Yeah, it was.
Blue Stinger, I don't remember playing that. It was Activision. NFL 2K, Mortal Kombat Gold, which was all the Mortal Kombat games. Power Stone 1 was a launch title. Ready to Rumble Boxing, which looked really cool. Game looked cool. Like it had that like kind of creative like art style. TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat, which was like an off-road racing game. NFL Blitz 2000. Sonic Adventure 1 was a launch title. House of the Dead 2, which was another massive arcade game that it came with the light gun. Soul Calibur, which is like the best, like highest rated game ever. And then I don't know, Pen Trisalon, whatever it is, made by Infogrames, and then a Monaco Grand Prix. Those were all North American launch titles for the Dreamcast, which I don't know a better launch lineup than that for any console that ever came out. Like I don't know. The more every time I see that, I'm like, whoa. Like I was so all in on the Dreamcast. I bought it launch day. I bought it with my own money. Also, the console was only in production for 2 years. There are 46 Dreamcast games with a Metacritic score of 80 or higher.
That's impressive.
Which is insane. The games are so good on this console, and I'm like so gung ho to make sure that people remember this. But piracy was an issue, and the PS2 hype was an issue. PS2 I think stole all of the thunder from the Dreamcast because they just nailed that like announcement timing and everything. Sega tried to jump it, and they made an amazing console and got amazing games, but the PS2 was just this juggernaut that destroyed it along with the piracy. But like I burned games, but I also bought games for the Dreamcast, and so at first I was like, oh, I was part of the problem. I was like, no, I bought Seaman. Like I bought it, like I bought House of the Dead 2. I bought games for the console, and I was in high school, like I was a freshman in high school, and I still spent my money buying these games, and then I would burn them to test if I liked like some of the more obscure games. Like I think I burned like Skies of Arcadia, and I was like, I don't like RPGs, and so, but yeah, Russ, do you have anything else to say about the Dreamcast?
Nope, I was pretty much done.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Sonic Adventure started on Dreamcast, right?
That was the launch title.
That's a lot of people's like favorite Sonic game.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there for more points for the Dreamcast.
And then within like a year and a half, they had Sonic Adventure 2 out, which was even better.
2 is my favorite Sonic game ever.
Didn't Sonic Adventure run bad on the Dreamcast, or is that something else?
It runs excellent.
No, it runs good on the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast
it might
also
run bad
almost
on like
every
one
game.
of the ports.
Almost every game on the Dreamcast runs at 60 frames per second. Also, everything just runs great on it. So yes, here I'm just gonna run through these games: Soul Calibur, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, NFL 2K1, Jet Grind Radio, another great game. Resident Evil Code Veronica was a Dreamcast exclusive. Quake 3 Arena, Skies of Arcadia, Test Drive Le Mans, NBA 2K1. A lot of Sega sold off Visual Concepts, who made all their 2K games, to Take-Two Interactive, who created 2K games, and then they lost the NFL license right after that. Virtua Tennis, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Tennis 2K2, Unreal Tournament, which actually was fun to play on the Dreamcast. NFL 2K2, Grandia 2, Samba de Amigo, which came with little maracas, which was fun. I bought that game. Phantasy Star Online. I want to talk about this game. That game was so ahead of its time. It was an online, like pseudo RPG. I mean, they're still making. There's like a new Phantasy Star Online that came out like last year, I think. But that game was amazing, and I played that game online in 2000, like 21 years ago. I was playing that game online, which just blows my mind, and it was so much fun. I think it may have had, no, it didn't have voice chat. That wasn't until Xbox, but it was still fun.
It had a keyboard, right?
Yeah, there was Typing of the Dead.
Keyboard.
I played Typing of the Dead, and I had the keyboard. That was fun. You had to type out words, and they would shoot the zombies if you finished the word in time. There's
also,
so
the
much.
Dreamcast had some really good like Street Fighters, and
Yeah, Street
one of my
Fighter
favorite
3's.
games is actually Street Fighter Alpha 3. It's
Yeah.
awesome on Dreamcast.
Nice.
Really, really good game.
There's
So
many
yeah,
good-
their
so many
fighters
good
are on there.
games.
Yeah.
Crazy
I wish they had more
Taxi.
accessories though. I wish there were other like third-party controllers, because mainly it focused around that main gamepad, which
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the D-pad at the time, but everything else was nice on it.
It's
but,
tall, yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know.
it's like the baby to the Sega Saturn 3D controller.
Yeah,
whatever they called
exactly.
it.
Yeah, the orbital one. I have a video. I'm waiting to make it. I bought this controller for the Switch that reminded me of that,
Oh yeah,
Aw.
yep.
and so I'm gonna do a video on that. It looks trash, but I will do it.
It was like a circle.
Yeah, and I didn't realize this thing is like a little mini joystick, because the
Joystick,
views
yeah.
were only so see that view. That's what I thought. It was just a normal like thumbstick, and then I get it, and it has that ball thing. So we'll
Is
see.
it called the
Tekken?
Hillbilly Cat?
Yeah, it is the hillbilly cat.
Wait.
Yeah. I don't know.
Awesome.
Oh, I dropped my Dreamcast.
Oh, now you're
controller.
breaking stuff.
Yeah, hillbilly cat. For the
For the NS.
For the NS. Oh, it's garbage. But it'll be a fun video. Okay. Sorry, we're a little bit over. Do we real quick? Is the Nintendo Switch Online? Whoops, wrong screen. Is the expansion pack worth it, Russ?
Oh.
I think it's only worth it because it includes the Animal Crossing DLC,
But
but I'll still pay for it.
you have to. If you don't stop paying for it, you lose it.
Do you lose the Animal Crossing DLC?
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh,
you have to.
that's stupid.
If you like switch back to the regular, you lose. I think you keep what you have accomplished at that point, because a lot of it's like you unlock stuff. I think you keep what you've unlocked, but you lose access to. You can't fly back over there anymore.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Can you
I'm still
imagine
gonna
if
buy it
they
though.
They just froze your game. Like they're just like, oh, you don't have the DLC anymore. You can't even play.
No, like
Oof.
so that to unlock the DLC, you have to go to the airport, and then you can fly to the DLC. And so
Oh, okay.
it seems like, but once you get the DLC and you unlock stuff, you can bring it back to your island. So the stuff that you bring back to your island, you keep, but you can't fly back anymore. So, but yeah, I discovered that, which I mean, it is what it is. But Max,
Okay. So to me it's worth it, but I get why people don't like it. I get the reasoning because most people have already played the N64 and Sega Genesis stuff. I have missed out on like 90% of the N64 games out there. So when this was announced, I was really happy. Granted, I honestly thought that the price increase was going to only be $30 a year. $40 at max. I feel like they should do an option where you don't have to get the Animal Crossing DLC to make it a little bit cheaper. I don't know. One thing to consider is obviously Nintendo probably paid a lot of money for Sega to get the licenses for a lot of those games. You don't think so?
I don't
really?
think so. I mean, I
Sega was very much against the idea of Virtual Console, and I heard that they were difficult to try to get Virtual Console to get them on board with that. So I feel like they were difficult to get on board with the NSO, which is kind of the similar thing with Virtual Console, except you're not paying for. Well, I mean, you're paying for a service, but you're not paying the $5 for a game, you know. But this is what I'm gonna say. Nintendo is the only company that gets away with controversy, mainly because of its community and fan base.
Yeah.
People will buy up, they'll boycott this, but still buy it anyways. That's why you always see whenever they do remasters like Skyward Sword HD, the only reason why that's $60 is because every time Nintendo does a $60 remaster, everyone buys it up like crazy. The reason why PlayStation and Xbox don't get away with it is because people stand by with their word. I don't know why it comes down to Nintendo, why the fan base, the community over there are idiots and still buy it up while boycotting it, because nothing's going to change. Nothing is ever going to change with Nintendo if you continue buying this up. And it's annoying because I see this time after time after time. And this is one of those things that you should vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a major boycott for this right now. But it's going to sell like crazy, and Nintendo's going to get away with it. And then Nintendo's going to do something even more crazy next year, and people are still going to buy it up because they're letting Nintendo get away with it. If you want Nintendo to stop with this type of stuff, you legit got to stop buying it. When the Skyward Sword HD numbers come out next month, that game we already know that game sold like crazy.
Yeah.
And we already knew that people were boycotting that game to death. We know people are boycotting this to death, which is way bigger than Skyward Sword. But my whole point is, every time Nintendo's in these situations, they suck at boycotting and they get away with it, and they're going to do something even more and get away with it. And the only way this stops is if you vote with your wallet. Drop Mike. Who's next?
So yeah, the video announcing the expansion pack has 16,000 likes and 88,000 dislikes.
Oh my gosh.
Which says one thing.
Wow.
Nick, what about you?
Oh man, it's been kind of a roller coaster ride since that whole price point has come out. I was gonna do a video on it because I have two different opinions on it. I think it's affordable if it's month to month. I think that's the only way that I could wrap my head around it. Kind of like Game Pass, where sometimes I want to get Game Pass and sometimes I don't want to get Game Pass. You know, so if you do a month to month for a single account, and not the family account, you're like a little over $4, right? So I don't know. To me, it would. But then again, are they going to even offer that? Probably not. They're going to make you pay for the whole year up front. So I don't know. And then how often am I going to go back and play those games, the retro games that they're offering? I play my Super Nintendo ones more so than I do my NES. And I probably would play those more even over the Sega Genesis. And then with the N64 games, there's only like 5 or 10 games that are coming out at launch. So I don't know how often I'll actually play those. If they offered, some first party Nintendo games like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, I could see how that could be more affordable, kind of like a PlayStation Plus service. Games that have been out for a couple of years, maybe offer something like that. But then again, the other side of the coin for me is, with this sign of Animal Crossing coming, is there going to be more stuff to come? So this is just kind of like a tease. But how often is it going to come? Because they kind of slowed it down with the NES and Super Nintendo, and it took a while to even bring any SNES games to the service.
Yeah,
it took like a whole year.
It was a year later.
So I don't know. It's just kind of up and down for me. I'll probably just get it anyway because I want to play the retro games on there. which sucks. And that's exactly it. That's exactly Max's point, is that they know their fan base, they know their consumer, so they're gonna put a price on. They could have put $250 a year, and people would have still done it. It's crazy. So
that's the thing. I think that the Animal Crossing DLC is like a subsidy. They, I feel like they want to charge $50 a month or more, and so they added this as a like to soften the blow of the price jump to it. And I
right,
think
yeah,
they're either going to do a switch where they're going to change the tiers but keep it at $50 a month or a year, and then they'll leave that DLC. But I keep hearing everyone's talk about like they're going to just keep putting DLC into this. I don't think they're going to do that. I think this was a one-time thing just to soften the blow of the price increase, and they will not do it again, and they'll add games the way they have been with the NES and the SNES, so these weird, obscure, like either first
yeah.
like
The
a
game lineup.
handful of first party. I bet the games that they announced will take over a year for them all to come out, and they won't add any others like between now and the end of the Switch's life cycle.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll add any more Genesis games unless there's like a certain reason where they don't have to deal with additional licensing or anything, like unless it just like falls in their lap. But I think that they're not going to add any other DLC. I think this is just a little subsidy to like somewhat soften the blow. Which can you imagine if they didn't add that in? How I feel like the backlash would be even bigger. And Animal Crossing sold what, like 80 30 million like a year ago, as of a year ago or something. And so all these people have the game already, so that was just an easy in.
You
Do
know,
you
I
think?
went. Go ahead.
Do you think they're going to like remove you guys getting the Animal Crossing DLC eventually?
No.
Because I feel like with how big that is, a year from now, if they're not going to add any more DLC, like a new DLC pack every year for some sort of big game, I feel like they would get rid of that because that's a lot of money in Nintendo's eyes that they're giving out for free. Because
I feel like the fact that they're giving it out now, that it will only lose value from here on out, and so I feel like they'll just leave it there and still sell it for people that don't want to buy this like in a year, like don't want to subscribe. They'll still sell it, a la carte, but they'll just leave it there as as their bonus for, they sell it for $25, or you can get the thing for the whole package for $30 a year. I feel like that's their justification for it, and they have no reason to do otherwise.
It's weird to me that their eShop is so different from the Wii U and 3DS, because those were really nice eShops. They had all themes and all kinds of stuff going on, and the virtual console is absolutely amazing. Why didn't they stick with that? I don't understand. That's
I've heard, I forgot who it was. I've heard a lot of people talking about how specifically the virtual console was part of the dismantling of the Wii U because it discouraged indie developers from putting games on the console, because people would go on, they're like, okay, I can pay $20 for this retro looking indie game, or I can pay $5 for this game that I know I like, and it was a no brainer. People were buying up these virtual console games instead of any indie games, and that's why they wanted the indie scene to flourish on the Switch, and that's why they weren't. And also, they wanted to switch to a subscription model for their back catalog to just for perpetuity, where they could just, if anyone canceled, they lost access to their entire catalog. Kind of the Game Pass model, but for their history of games type of thing. And I don't know. I could see that now that, especially with the indie scene flourishing on the Switch, it kind of, I don't know if that's the reason or if like the cause and effect is off, but yeah. Brittany, what about you?
I Oh gosh, I was listening to a video, and so there's two interesting, I thought this was interesting about the video, but basically, the video I was listening to, they were talking about how they think that they could put more DLC on there, and people would accumulate the DLC over time and feel obligated to keep paying for it, because basically, like, let's say they threw in the Breath of the Wild DLC or some Mario Kart DLC or some other, like, some big heavy hitters. You get the DLC for it now, and then all of a sudden your account runs out and you're in the midst of playing Xenoblade Chronicles Torna, and you can't play it anymore because you lost access to the DLC. Then you kind of feel obligated to go back and pay because they essentially own all of your DLC.
Yeah.
So they could hook you kind of like that, where it's like
that's totally possible.
It's like bait. As for do I think it's worth it? That depends on if you get a family plan. Does everybody in the family get the Animal Crossing DLC? Because if it's just the primary Switch user,
everyone
does.
Everyone does.
Yeah. I think that makes it a little more worth it, depending on how many Switches you have at once hooked up to a family plan. But
I thought I read that. Yeah.
But if not, I'm gonna say no. And as for a solo person, no, not at all.
Okay. Chris.
I'm with Griller. I have no desire to play Animal Crossing right now. I have every N64 game that I want to play, which is not very many of them because I don't care for the N64 library that much. The Sega games are cool. Just the fact that Sega games are on a Nintendo console is just mind-blowing. I know it's happened a long time ago, but my 1990s brain is like, what's going on in the world?
We have a Nintendo branded Sega controller.
It's mind blowing to me as a kid. But yeah, I have no desire to pay. So what is the price increase per month? Or it's like $50 more?
No,
right?
It's $30 more per year, and the base is 20. The increase is 30, so it's $50 per year total for a single account. Or it's 35 for a family, and then up to 80, and then 80 for the family for both of them together.
Gotcha.
Which it's weird that the expansion pack costs more than the base thing.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm with Skriller on the basically tying the DLC to the subscription service is garbage in my opinion. Unless maybe for some reason they offer it separately later. But I think that's a very
you can buy it separately.
You can buy it separately, but it's almost the price of the yearly subscription.
It's $5 less than 1 year of the expansion pack.
But is it still tied to a subscription service, or it's
no.
like $25 outright?
$25 and you own it.
No, the thing that I was saying was a hypothetical.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't read the article. I'm a bad TYCAST panelist. But
yeah, no, it's $25 to buy it outright and you own it to your account, or it comes included with the $30 a year add-on to Nintendo Switch Online.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm thinking that that's like a subsidy where they want to soften the blow. Or like, it's you get this $25 add-on for $30 a year. I think that was the whole. I think that was the reasoning for it. They made enough money on Animal Crossing, and they want more and more people onto the service, and getting them in this way. A game that probably has sold now at least 40 million, I'm guessing, copies. Like, you get this free DLC that they just pumped out.
Do you guys think they'll add on more retro consoles like TurboGrafx or Game Gear or Game Boy or whatever?
I'd buy it if they did TurboGrafx.
Yeah. What do you guys think it'd be more valuable if they did add on more retro consoles, or do you think they should go and give us like some indie games, for instance, just to play,
I don't think that they're going to add on any additional third party unless. So in my video about it's actually about the Game Boy rumors. I think that what they try to do is they try to buy out smaller games to put onto the console that like we'll pay you
Right.
$500,000 to put this game on the subscription. Then they just keep raking in the money and like, oh look, we got this new game on it. But at some point, bigger developers, bigger platforms, and everything, they'll demand a cut, or they'll demand like ongoing revenues to license it, and I don't think they want to do that. And so I think we may get some of these little tiny weird ass games that we got for the NES and SNES popping in. I don't think we're gonna get. We're out like. I think what all the license stuff that they announced is gonna be it. That's big enough to like make a splash. I don't think we're gonna get anything.
This This is just a thought I had, but I would be more inclined to buy any of the like Nintendo Switch Online stuff if the games that they put on there were kind of like, I guess, rarer games. Like if they put Conkers on there, or if they put Sculptor's Cut on there, or if they put Little Samson or something on there, because they're so hard to find physically that it ticks something in my brain, at least, where I'm like, okay, well, I don't really want to fork out $1,000 for Little Samson, but this is still an authentic Nintendo way to play it because it's on Nintendo console and stuff. It's still not my favorite way to play it, but if they're putting like these, I guess, harder to find games and stuff on there, I think that would be a little bit more of a selling point for me.
I agree. Go ahead.
Another thought too is, you know how a lot of people are comparing it to like Game Pass, except for it's like the retro side of things, right? Now we got 4 consoles coming in, but would they add on, like I've been saying, would they add on like a first party game like Breath of the Wild? Because if you look at what the Switch has to offer as far as internal memory, there's not much on there. So I don't think they're going to add on bigger titles where you're downloading, because you're playing these games from a cloud service, right? They instantly start right away, even though they're smaller titles, but you're not downloading anything onto your memory card, right? You're just playing it.
Those are local. They're local.
Oh,
they're running on emulator. Like it's an emulator that they're running on locally.
So when you download the app, that's what's running off of then, right?
It includes all the games.
So it's really snappy, it's really quick, and it's easy to use, and there's not a lot of space that it's taking up on your Nintendo Switch. And being that it's a hybrid console and you have to buy external SD cards and things of that nature, I don't think they'll bring bigger titles to the service because of that reason alone.
Yeah,
it would just.
I don't know. I don't think they'll bring. I don't think they'll. I don't think they would like cannibalize their. I mean, they're still like those bigger titles are still selling.
Still $60
more, and they're selling more higher. Like they're still selling massively, and so
ARMS is still $50.
Yeah. The fact that they're not even discounting, they're not discounting those, is a testament that they're not gonna throw these on unless they're trying to start competing more with like Game Pass and everything, and they want to start building this games as a service thing, expand it. I don't think they're ready to do that yet because I feel like they are too nervous to. But yeah, so I personally, I don't think it's that bad of a deal when you step back and look at it as a whole. I feel like they mispriced the original Nintendo Switch Online. They need to fix their online service because that's the biggest issue that they have with it. I feel like the ability to play NES and SNES games online, that right there, I feel like is a very valuable service because there's not an easy way to do that. Like me and Aaron, we played Mario Kart on the SNES online with 0 hiccups, just both booted up the game, and adding that with like N64 games and Genesis games. I think that value right there is worth, the whatever, $4 a month additional, like for all those games to be able to play online. Because have you ever tried to play a retro game online with someone? It's a nightmare. And so that right there, I think, is a value that people are undervaluing. And I don't know. Other than that, I feel like they messed up the pricing originally, and now they're trying to get it back to add value and bump it up, which I feel like they screwed that up. But when you step back and look at everything that's offered for $50 a year, I don't think it's a bad deal. Especially when you're talking about on the Wii U, everyone swears by the Wii U Virtual Console, dude. Freaking N64 games were $10 a pop, or $10 to $12 a pop, and SNES and Genesis games were $5 a pop, and or $8, and then NES games were $5 each. Like, come on, like, I know you like own it, but like, it's still digital. It's still like you don't even physical games that you buy, you don't own. There's a different, like, everyone swears by that. The copy that you own is you own that physical disc. You don't own the game. You can't turn around and like start a business where you let people, you can't start like a Blockbuster business and rent that out. You have to own it. You have to buy a separate license to do stuff like that. It's a separate, whole different thing. You're still just owning. It's like, it's this, the FBI thing. Like, you can't go in and like do a presentation using your game and start a business based on that game unless you own a separate license of the game. So physical and digital licenses are the same, but that's a whole different discussion. Like Blockbuster, they would pay, I think it's like several $1,000s per copy of the game, like to get copies of the game so that they could have the business license for the game. Anyway, yeah, you can play it forever, but not like if your Wii U dies and they turn off the servers.
I've never actually played any of the NES or Super Nintendo games online with anybody. It's friends only, right? You can't play with like random people.
I've never tried to play with random people. I've only played with friends, but
I think you can only play with friends.
Okay, I wish that was something that they would change, though.
Yeah, that could be cool, like a matchmaking,
random.
like a random matchmaking thing. That could be.
Yeah,
cool.
could you imagine Mario Kart 64 with randoms? Would be awesome, dude. That would be cool.
With voice chat.
Yeah, exactly, with voice chat.
Didn't the Wii U Virtual Console have like that awful washing out of the colors? Wasn't that the Wii U?
I don't even know.
I don't know. I never owned it on that.
I think NES games.
I'm
I'm
trying
not
to
sure.
think. I'm not
Irrelevant,
sure.
but-
Yeah. The only virtual console game I think I had on Wii U was Metroid Fusion. So I didn't have any SNES stuff.
The Wii Virtual Console was even better. That was really good.
I never dove into the Wii Virtual Console. I think I bought a couple things
there
like
was
early on, and then
like Contra Reborn, and there was another like Castlevania game on there that you could only get on the. It was like the Wii. What was the exclusive? I can't remember the name of the app, but you had to download it through there. But yeah, I mean, you could download the emulator, obviously, or whatever, the ROM. But
yeah,
that's
a whole nother thing. Okay,
Yeah.
we are way over. I think this might be the longest episode ever, but we're gonna go. We're skipping.
It's not the longest episode.
No, not yet.
The longest episode went, I believe, almost 2 hours before.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 34 minutes, and we haven't even gone to the nominations for the book club.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, we're going book club, video game book club, November 2021. This is our fourth? Does anyone remember what were our book club games? We started off with Super Metroid, then we had Donkey Kong Country, then we had
Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Crypt of the Necrodancer, and then we had Little Nightmares is current. So these are the nominees for book club month 5. Month 5. Holy cow. All right. Russ, do you want to reveal? Oh, so Russ, you have the double up.
Really?
Yeah. I almost told you beforehand, but so your pick, we have it gets 2 votes.
Well, that is more of a chance to play Bioshock then.
It is Bioshock. So you wanna explain why you picked Bioshock?
So Bioshock is another one of like my top 10 games ever. I absolutely love the series, and I think Bioshock 1 is my favorite one out of all of them. It takes place in like such a cool atmosphere, and I'm so mad I voted for the month before October because that would have been a perfect game for Halloween too.
Oh yeah.
The main thing I like about it is like going underwater, like you're in an underwater city and you have these cool powers and you feel like kind of like a badass throughout the whole game. And it's just a lot of fun. Everybody should play it.
Nice. Max.
Oh man, I really wonder what I nominated this month.
Max. Okay, go.
Dark Souls.
No.
All right, I got the one and only Spider-Man: Web of Shadows.
Max, have you ever played Spider-Man on the PS4?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've played every Spider-Man game except
okay.
the one on the PlayStation 1 and the Atari one. So
Also,
the
Game Boy Advance Spider-Man 2.
I played that.
You played it on the Vita?
Played it on the. There's the Vita Spider-Man game.
Yeah, it's the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
I played that. Yeah, not on the Vita, but I. Yeah.
By the way,
anyways,
the Dreamcast got a lot of PlayStation 1 ports, but they're like the definitive versions of those games. Spider-Man 1 came out on the Dreamcast. Revolt came out on the Dreamcast. What was
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure came out on the Dreamcast.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
It got a port from PS1.
Oh, okay. And then Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, the Dreamcast version, is the best version. I mean, the PC version too, but the Dreamcast version, best console version. Okay, go ahead. Max, why?
All right. The main reason why I nominated this is my favorite game of all time. We have a lot of Marvel fans in the group here. We also have a lot of Spider-Man fans. A lot of you guys haven't played this game, and it hurts me. It's a hidden gem, so a lot of people didn't play it, to be honest. But this is the best Spider-Man game. It's the best Marvel storyline. It is a very dark Marvel game for what it is. And unfortunately, if you see this game, you're like, I really like this dark storyline. You're never going to see a dark storyline like this again because of them being owned by Disney. Because ever since they've been owned by Disney, they never went this dark ever since then. So you're never going to see this in the games. You're never going to see it in the shows, movies, none of that. So I say that this needs to be the winner. You know, this is a great game. Everyone needs to play this. It's the best Spider-Man game. If you're a Marvel fan and haven't played this, buy this game. And yeah.
Which console is it on?
It's on every console. The one I put down on our TYCAST thing is I said to go with the Wii version, only because it's the same game on the Wii. It's just the graphics are lowered down, but it's the same game. You still get that open world.
PS3? Is that?
I said the Wii, the PS3 version is just graphically better.
But it's the same version, same game.
Yeah, the Wii version is the same as the Xbox 360 and PS3.
Okay.
I put the Wii down because the Wii version is like only $10. If you get it on the 360 and PS3, you're paying over $40 because all the Spider-Man games on the 360 and PS3 went up in value since Activision lost the rights to Spider-Man. But definitely buy this game. Haven't played it yet? Go play it. All right, even if it doesn't win, go play it.
The what was I gonna say? I also have the PC version. If this wins, we can play on PC. It's on like it's like on like some like archive version. Like it's old enough to where it doesn't get taken down, just in case. All right, Nick, what's your game?
Right here, Bayonetta 2.
Yeah.
On Switch, of course, or Wii U. I have it on the Wii U. I don't have it on Switch because I found it physical at GameStop with both discs in it, Bayonetta 1 and 2. Still haven't played any of 2 at all. So it gives me an excuse to play the game.
I'd be down for this game.
And then also 3's on its way out next year. So why not? Why not play? Get prepared for 3.
Timely for sure.
That's my
good pick. I think there would be a lot of fans for that.
I hope that wins.
Oh, I ruined Skrill's pick. What's your pick, Skrill?
Oh, I just realized how you ruined it. No, I chose Uncharted 4. When I think of like the most video game I could possibly think of, Uncharted 4 comes to mind. It's dirt cheap on PS4. I think it just came out on PC, so if you're gonna get it on PC, then
I think
you gotta
next year.
No, next year.
Oh,
yeah,
next year?
It's not till January, I think, or sometime.
Yeah, the nice thing about any Uncharted's is that if you've played any of the previous ones, it makes this one sweeter. If you haven't played any of the previous ones, you're still going to enjoy this one because the story is there, but it's not super tightly woven together. And I also realized that it's kind of like the perfect game that I chose because the Uncharted movie just got a trailer
today.
Oh, it did?
So-
Yeah.
Shoot, I missed it.
Yeah, it came
So-
out today.
Wolf, do you like 2 or 4 better?
I was gonna ask the same question.
Okay, y'all are gonna hate me. 2 is my probably like on the bottom of the list for me when it comes to
What?
Uncharted. 3 is my absolute favorite, but 2 has a train part that absolutely infuriated me when I first played it, and I was like, okay, this is not. It's probably like it's better than 1 in my eyes. I think I still like Golden Abyss better than it. And then it goes like 3, 4, maybe Lost Legacy is like I haven't ranked Lost Legacy, but yeah, 3 is my favorite. It's the
Did you
first one
play-
3 was the first one I played.
Did you play 3 on a 3D TV?
I did.
Yes.
I got to yeah. It was my first experience with a 3D TV, which also like blew my mind. And then the 3D TV that I was playing on broke, so I didn't get to finish it on a 3D
Oh
TV.
no.
I only
Yeah.
got to start it on a 3D TV.
Dude, it looks so cool. I remember bullets like flying out of the screen. I was like,
It was
this is
really
so
really
awesome.
neat.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
blast,
Uncharted 2
the
is
blast
great. It's just that train part just soured the whole game for me because I was stuck on it for so long.
What? That's the opening scene, right?
No, well, yes, but there's a different scene in it, and it's such a minor part. But I don't know why I was stuck on it for like days because I was a dumb little kid. But I was stuck on it for days because I was like, I'm just gonna go run and gun, and then of course when you run and gun in Uncharted, you die.
Oh, you're talking about because at the beginning of the train's crashed, and then later on you're on top of it, right?
And then you go. The time skips forward. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But still good. Still like Uncharted 2, and I still really like Uncharted 4 is definitely above Uncharted 2 for me because I think Uncharted 4 is just like I said, it's just like when I think video games, Uncharted 4 is like boom, this is a video game right here.
Yeah, it's timely with the movie too. And I've only played Uncharted 3. I played the whole thing on my 3D TV.
Does
I made
the
a
3D
joke. I was like,
actually look good?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It looked really cool. Yeah.
I honestly, I've been thinking about going back and trying to buy one of those 3D TVs just to have a separate PS3 setup to play the 3D, but they're like pretty freaking uncommon. It's like
I still
finding
have mine in
you
my
still have your
kids' room.
PlayStation one?
bring it on the plane.
Wait, what?
Do you still have the PlayStation one, the PlayStation version?
No, I
Is
just
there
have I just have
Oh.
a 3D TV that works
Oh, okay.
that worked with my PS3
The
for
play-
the 3D effect.
That PlayStation branded TV is like
Aren't they really expensive?
like
And they're-
$500,
aren't they
and
like
it's a
this big?
24-inch
Yeah,
monitor.
it's a tiny little guy.
Yeah, I had one for a really long time, and then I sold it for like $60, dude.
Oh,
And it worked. It worked really good. I would just upgraded my monitor, and then now it's worth 500. It's ridiculous, but
Okay, Chris, what's your pick?
So
Oh, actually,
I gave you my main pick, but I put a consolation pick just in case somebody else already nominated this your pick. So I went with To the Moon Again, which is a visual novel disguised as a JRPG, and it's pretty short too. It's emotional. Let's put it that way.
nice. Yeah, this looks interesting. So yeah, you're like you submitted your pick, and you're like, if anyone else picks this is my other pick. And I was like, I was gonna pick your first pick, and you're like, okay, go with the second pick. And so To the Moon was technically your backup, but your first one is also getting nominated by me. So no, this looks interesting. I'm glad we got like an indie in, because we kind of like we it's funny because everyone's on like the same path where like we'll all go indie, like, and then we'll all go like big budget. And so this month I feel like we got a lot of mixture of like AAA, older, retro, indie. It's like the most diverse month we've had of nominations. I'll wait on mine. We're going to do all the nominations from everyone that's not on the panel tonight. So Sally, Retro Arcade Party, she nominated, of course, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which will be playable via Nintendo Switch Online in
No.
on Monday. So that will be interesting. Next up is I'm gonna give the reasons because they should they should get their reasons. Sally, where is it? Is it on the other page? Oh no, yeah. Where is it? Sally said she nominated it because it's iconic. she just put
Good reason.
She just put iconic. Why did you nominate this game?
Can we play the 3DS version? That's
Yes,
what I want to ask.
she actually specified the 3DS version, but it is coming to Nintendo Switch Online
I'll play
on
the
Monday.
3DS version.
Yeah. Next up is Luke Leeson's. He actually nominated 2, and then I forced him to pick one, and he picked Final Fantasy IX, which is available on pretty much every platform right now. This is the long game. He picked a very long game and a very short game, and he picked the long game, which is Final Fantasy IX. So I hope this doesn't get picked. I'm okay. I would be okay with it because I played like an hour of Final Fantasy VII. That's the only Final Fantasy game I've ever played, and so I'm okay with it.
Just picked up the physical, so I'll have to play that.
Max, you're good. And then what's next? Oh, Meander picked freaking Donkey Kong Country 2. And so yeah, we would have a second Donkey Kong Country in 5 months. Excuse the fire truck driving by my place right now. And what? Who did I? Oh, Luke's. He picked Final Fantasy IX because it's a great entry-level JRPG, easy combat, short if not doing complete, 25 to 30 hours. And then Meander picked Donkey Kong Country 2 because he says it's been a while since I played it and it's one of my favorites. And then next up we have Catherine, which was nominated by Liz, and she specified either Catherine or Catherine Full Body. I don't know the difference. She said
that'll be a reason for me to buy Full Body.
Yeah, I bought it and then I left the state and I forgot to pick it up and they canceled it. I bought it for $15 and I didn't pick it up and then it went straight back up to 40 or something. She said the gameplay is tough and unique. The story is wild and really interesting and very dark. I really enjoyed it. There's multiple endings for replayability. So yeah, there's Catherine or Catherine Full Body on various platforms. And then next is freaking Nettie with Super Meat Boy because she's only nominating the hardest game she's ever played.
Oh my gosh, that game's so hard.
So Super Meat Boy for nominated by Nettie. I think I read her reasoning today. She nominated this today. Not just nominating my hard games as usual, hoping it'll land. Ha 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 ha. And then next is Dying Light by Beach Pizza Gaming, which is where do you buy this? It's on PS4, Xbox One era. It's one of the best games in the era that nobody has played.
On Switch now too.
Is it on? Oh, is it out now or is it coming?
I think so. The Platinum Edition's out.
Oh, did it? Did it already come out?
Pretty sure it's out because I got one coming in the mail from Gamefly.
Oh, okay, perfect, nice. Well, that's another way to play. Oh, Dying Light 2 is going to be on is that the cloud version that's coming out? Or something.
Yeah, Dying Light 2 will be cloud version only. But Dying Light 1 is physical and digital.
Yeah. And then the next one is Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, nominated by Kenway. And whenever we do this game, everyone specifies that it can be either the original DX or the remake. So however you want to play it, I'm fine with that. The game's the same; it just looks different. Like I don't think they changed any actual elements of the game, other than like some little add-ons and stuff. But the story's the same. And he said you could emulate it if you want. Oh yeah, the remaster on Switch. Absolute classic for fans of Zelda games. This is often slept on. I started playing this game and I'm only like 3 hours in. This was the game that got me to buy my Switch originally, and I sat on it and I never played it. I mean, I played it a little bit, but not enough.
It's really good because there's cameos from Super Mario games.
Yeah, there's like the bomb,
I'm on-
Bob-omb. Yeah, and
Yeah,
isn't Mario like a?
the Chomp Chomp is one of the first
Oh yeah, the
characters you
Chomp
run
Chomp. Yeah,
into.
yeah.
It's like a dog barking and
That's what I was
chasing you,
thinking.
and then Mario, I think, is one of the characters. But
Yeah.
he does.
Can
He
he-
kind of looks like Mario, but not really.
Yeah. And then lastly, my pick is, and also Toaster Dog's pick is Doki Doki Literature Club, because I still want to play this game and I never got to, and I was waiting because I felt like it was going to get nominated over and over again, and then no one nominated it, so I had selected it, and then Toast, you selected it, so I went with it. So I'm not going to play much of the walkthrough because I don't want any spoilers.
Why is there hype behind this? I'm seeing this gameplay and I don't understand why everyone was like, yes!
You just gotta play it.
Yeah, I think
Agreed.
it's an experience, Max, is what
You gotta
I'm
play
told.
it.
So
Don't look
What is
anything up.
experiencing about this?
Play it and find out.
yeah. So I picked it because I'm very curious. You know, I'll always.
It's because we all really like waifus, Max.
I can tell.
Don't put anything behind a spoiler tag because I will click it. And so that's why I picked this game. And that is it.
Wait, who
What?
picked Bioshock? Because you said two people picked Bioshock.
Keys submitted Bioshock. I meant to say that. So he also submitted Bioshock. So Bioshock will have 2 nominations in the wheel next week. So next week we will spin the wheel after we discuss Little Nightmares, and yeah, that's next week's Halloween episode. We'll spin the wheel, see what we're playing through November. It's actually December 2nd is when the episode, the next episode is. There's 2 weeks in November that we're not going to do episodes. I'm going to be on vacation the first week of November, and then we're not doing a Thanksgiving episode. So we got I think we have an extra 2 weeks to play whatever game gets picked. So maybe it should be Final Fantasy 9 because we'll get like 5 weeks to play it, 6 weeks to play it. So with that said, I have a new video coming out tomorrow. If I finish editing it tonight, I have to get back to editing as soon as we're done here. And thank you all for being here. Is there anything else? I mean, we skipped over Animal Crossing and Sora. I'm okay with that. I know Sora. Woo.
Nora.
I didn't buy Sora, so I don't have much to say about Sora. I play Smash like once a month, maybe. But yeah, I think we're done. We'll rate out, and once we wrap up the outro. Oh, I've been stuck on Doki Doki this whole time. But yeah, thank you guys. Did we set a record? Oh, we set a record.
Yes, this is the new
We did
record.
the new record. Thank you guys for hanging out for such a long episode. It was fun though. I enjoyed our conversations, and I'm excited for the video game book club next week. I can't wait to talk about Little Nightmares and figure out what game I'm going to be tormented by for the next month. Actually, Little Nightmares was a breeze and really fun. So if you haven't played it and you're listening, watching, whatever, jump on it. I think you can get it for like $5 on Steam or something. Or I think it's off sale now. But whatever, play it, buy it. It's worth it. It's fun. And join the book club. And we'll see you next week. Be sure to follow everyone on the panel. Their links are in the description if you're watching this afterwards and or listening. And yeah, we'll have a good weekend. I'll see you guys next week. And we're out of here. That's a wrap. Peace out, guys. See you later. Thank you again. Adios. Longest episode ever. Goodbye.